This is the HP Omen 15 2021, and before I get right into it, I want to talk about a little sponsored portion by Best Buy, because right now they're having a back-to-school discount deal event for students, and they're selling this HP Envy 13 X360, which is always a great deal. This one's kind of special because for $1,000, you're getting an OLED display. An OLED display paired with Intel's i7 11 5G7 processor, Intel eVoo certified, which means it has instant wake, so it wakes up quickly even if you're not using the laptop for days. It has Wi-Fi 6, it has good battery life, but it's a convertible. So like you can take this to class, you can buy the separate pen if you really want to, and use this as a tablet. You can draw on the screen, write down your notes, and then place it back in laptop mode when you wanna kind of use more of a traditional format. Now the keyboard is absolutely solid, the trackpad is big enough and comfortable to use, it even has a fingerprint scanner to use Windows Hello to log you in. And there's tons of ports. If you're interested in checking this out and other Best Buy deals, there'll be a link in the description down below. Now last year this was one of the best gaming laptops to buy. This year things have changed because other companies have progressed their laptops with new features that this guy doesn't have, but I feel like if you're looking at the Omen 15, the best model to look at is the one with the 5600H. It's just priced too good. From a chassis standpoint, it's pretty much the same. You know, it's very flexible on the top, which is kind of concerning to a lot of people. It was a big deal last year, but what they did to kind of alleviate that issue is they added these little rubber pads on the left and right hand side to prevent the display from being pushed in. I always thought this was a good thing to have this gap, because if you're someone who docks this at home and closes their laptop, at least it gives the vents room to breathe. Now, I wish they kind of, you know, increase the rigidity of the chassis to make you, the user, a lot more, or at least feel more secure, but they didn't. And we haven't seen any major issues with the previous model, so I don't think it's going to be a concern going into the future. You kind of have that similar keyboard layout. This one doesn't have RGB on it. If you pay more for the more expensive ones, you can buy it, but this one is just a simple white background. And look, I'm okay with that, right? I think it looks clean, especially on a gaming laptop that has a pretty clean vibe to go with it. You have your Omen command center at the top right here, along with a few other important keys, but you also have a big touchpad. I'll be honest, this touchpad is not the best touchpad when it comes to accuracy. I found myself like, okay, it's not bad, you know, but it's not one of the better touchpads out there. But if you're using this on your desk, you're gonna be connecting an external mouse anyway, so it's probably not gonna be a major issue for you. The ports are still the same, so left-hand side, you still have that Ethernet jack. I can't stand these things. You know, I get why they're doing it, right? Because it's so thin that they don't have the space to put a full port. And I'll say this like I do in every other HP video. If you're plugging something into it, don't ram it in, because I've seen these things break before. So be very careful. USB, full-size HDMI, you have a audio jack, full-size SD card slot, which is always nice, especially if you're a creator. And then on the other side, you have a mini display port, which will connect directly to your GPU. And then you have a USB Type-C port. Now, both of these Type-C ports can charge your laptop. It's not powerful enough to like game on, but if you're just using this at school and you don't feel like carrying that big charger with you, you can just carry a 100-watt USB Type-C charger, which is a lot lighter in your bag. Now, because this is the cheaper Omen 15, the display is okay, right? Like, it has good color gamut and color accuracy, but the problem is the brightness is a little on the lower side. 288 nits. Like today, 288 nits is kind of dull, you know? Like the average has gone up to 350, so this is like below the standard. If you're using this indoors, it's not going to be a big issue. I'm just glad it's color accurate, which I think a lot of people will appreciate. This is a 144 hertz panel, so it, I think, is more than adequate for a 3060. You really don't need anything faster than that. And it has a webcam on top, and it's like your typical webcam that every other gaming laptop uses. Now this screen is very wobbly. It's not as wobbly as the Aero 15, but I'd place it right below it. I mean, you know, it might bother some of you out there, but if you're someone who's like constantly moving around, you'll probably notice it quite a bit. But the big deal about this laptop is the performance. Like I said, it's using a Ryzen 5 5600H with 16 gigabytes of RAM. You have a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD and an RTX 3060 that runs at 100 watts. If you're strictly a gamer, I honestly don't see a reason to move up to a 5800H if you're sticking with a 3060. You're just not going to see a massive performance difference. The only reason to move up to 8 cores is if you're using some sort of application that can utilize more cores. Most games today are not using 8, 6 is more than plenty. If you're talking about 1080p gaming, this thing competes very well. It's not the fastest 3060 I use, but it works really well. Like, I didn't have any frame drops or issues with the games slowing down because of heat. It just ran super well. If you're buying this for content creation as well, it's not the best laptop for Adobe Premiere Pro, but again, Adobe Premiere Pro is not the most optimized app and tends to run better on Intel processors. If you're a developer, the 5600H inside of here performs beautifully. Like 30 minutes, I was able to compile Mozilla Firefox, which is in line with some other 5800Hs that I've tested in the past. Oh, before I go on, 2 out of 10 for sticker placement. Like, come on, sticker guy. Smarten up. Heat management is pretty good. Like, this CPU never gets over 80 to 85 degrees Celsius, so thermals are in line, and there was no drop frames because of it. Fans can get loud. There's 2 modes, like you have a balanced mode and a performance mode. Performance mode, like, you can really crank the fans all the way up to 60 decibels if you put it on manual mode and move the fan curve up. But I just leave it on balance mode. I found it to do more than an adequate job of keeping consistent performance between the GPU and CPU. Before I talk about the internals, the bottom firing speakers sound exactly the same as the previous model, so they're nothing special. You're better off wearing headphones for long gaming sessions, but internally, it's like last year's. No complaints because the cooling solution is more than adequate. 2 slots for drive, 1 is populated and you get good read and write speeds. The other one is empty for a future upgrade. 2 slots for RAM, expandable up to 64, but HP for some reason is still one of the only manufacturers able to get their hands on rank 8 memory, which happens to be in this laptop. The Wi-Fi card is still soldered onto the motherboard, which is fine. I mean, this is Wi-Fi 6. My only major complaint about the laptop is the battery. Like, this is a 72 watt hour battery, but I'm getting terrible battery life. I can't break 3 hours, which is pretty bad considering we've seen some gaming laptops go up to 9 or 9.5. The HP Omen 15 is not the best laptop of 2021, but I feel like it's a laptop you should keep your eye on because if the price is good, you get a really good gaming laptop. And I feel like for $1,100, a 5600H paired with an RTX 3060 that runs well, that runs consistent, has good history, is a viable option for those deal hunters out there looking for a good experience. If you're interested in the Omen 15 or the HP NV13 X360, I'll have links in the description down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.